Hey there, everyone. Good morning. It is Thursday, June 19th. I'm Tamara Sacharczyk. This is an NBC 10 coffee break. The biggest news of the day is a story that we've been following for what feels like years now. The Karen Read retrial. Obviously, there was a verdict handed down yesterday. Chances are you've seen it on TV, across social media. Karen obviously walked free yesterday. She was found not guilty of 3 of the major charges against her. That includes second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a crash resulting in death. She was convicted of OUI. We have Gene Valicenti here with us. He was at the courthouse for that verdict. He was there all afternoon and evening. Gene, you were outside with all of the people who are really supporting Karen Read. Talk about the atmosphere there.
Well, at first I thought about 300 people there, but then after the verdict, people started showing up and the crowd got even bigger. So my estimate, 400, maybe 100 people from the media. At one point, I did count 36 cameras. That might have doubled by the time it was all over, and everybody with their phones, and there were streamers and confetti and air horns. I was tempted to use the word, this is a circus atmosphere.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I was across the street with the media looking back on the other side of the street to see the crowd, and the crowd was well behaved. They really were. They were using this silent "I love you" sign. They were pretty well behaved, I have to say. When word that we had a verdict came in, well, then they started to get antsy, and the excitement level peaked. And then at one point, you knew they were going to surge toward that barrier by the courthouse. That's when the state police closed the streets. So 2:15, Karen comes back. Why is she coming back? We don't know. Maybe they have a verdict, maybe they don't. 3 o'clock, word, they got a verdict. It'll be in 10 to 20 minutes. By about 3:35, I think the verdict started coming down. At that point, the crowd cheered. In fact, the audio from inside the courtroom is interesting because you could hear the crowd outside cheer.
Gene, I ran over to one of our producers' desks who had it live streaming, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is that from outside?
Yes.
It was very loud.
I just picked up on that today when I was doing my radio show. It's interesting to hear because they had the feed outside. They were listening on speakers, so they were listening in real time. And when they heard it, the crowd cheered. You could hear it inside the building, and the streamers went off, and the flags were waving, and the pink shirts were. It was something to see, which I've never seen before at a trial. Now, about an hour went by, I think, before we saw her. So I don't know what she was doing inside, maybe collecting herself, collecting her breath, or maybe paperwork to fill out. But then we saw her through the glass of the front doors, and the crowd went wild again. And she came down, and she spoke only for about a minute, maybe less. Her father said a few words. She said a few words, and then they went off. Some of the media were following them down the street. We've seen that play out. And then she got in their SUVs, and that was it until this morning. I was listening to some of the coverage, and I guess she was out celebrating in the Seaport District up in Boston. And I knew that as soon as somebody spotted her, we'd be seeing it on Twitter and everywhere else because she's become a celebrity.
She has. I said she can't go anywhere across the country now without people knowing who she is.
Absolutely. Unorthodox as it might be, but a celebrity nonetheless. And you know what's amazing? Over the past this is 2022, right? So that's 3 years this is going on. She's become so comfortable in front of the camera. It's almost like it's no big, she'll answer questions when she feels like them, but she's got that whole thing down. What do you think? Let me question. What does she do now with her life?
I think she writes a book, Gene. And I'm sure there's going to be either a Hulu or a Netflix deal, something in there for her, perhaps a movie. But when you think about it, you can't go back to normal life once you reach that status of celebrity. So you have to make your money based off of that trial.
I agree with you. Absolutely, a book is coming out, a movie, and don't forget there was that HBO special,
right?
That's very popular. It's still streaming on Max. That has to be updated. So I don't know if she has an agent or this whole. She owes.
She's going to have to get one.
She's going to have to get one because she stands to make millions, and she owes millions to her defense team, and they're going to get paid too.
Right. So, and like she said, I mean, her supporters contributed to her defense fund, but at the end of the day, they can't contribute all of that money. This costs so much money over the 2 different trials.
I heard $6 million she owes the lawyers. She brought in $1 million in fundraising, but I don't think she has to worry about paying the rest of the tab because between HBO and the movie and the book, there's money to be made here. Now, on the flip side, listen, she's likely going to be sued civilly.
That's true.
By the O'Keefe family, or how about this flip? Maybe some of the people inside the house who don't like that they're accused of murder.
Right.
court. Where do they go to get their reputations back?
Right. Like you said, you can't take back what was said in open court. And this was streamed by so many people that they will also be known.
There's no recourse. I mean, what do we say? Well, I know somebody accused you of, we named you, your name was in the media. They actually accused you of murdering somebody.
Yeah.
Where do you go to get your reputation back? Well, I guess in this case, you don't. I'm sorry you made the wrong friend group. I'm sorry that it went to court, but there's no recourse for slander or libel or anything like that. I mean, maybe they're going to come back and sue her, or maybe they're all going to sue the state.
Yeah.
Or and then there's another investigation. Okay, Karen didn't have a hand in his death. Who did?
Exactly. Who did it? I think that's the biggest question, especially when we think about the justice system. I think you said this yesterday that it worked for Karen Reed, seemingly. I'm sure that she would say that, but what about John O'Keefe and his family?
I don't think it worked for him because we don't know who had a hand in his death. Or how about this? Do you think he was drunk and just came out and stumbled and hit his head on a rock and then stumbled more toward the flagpole and just dropped dead there? And I don't know how he explained the scratches on the arm. Is it as simple as that? Or, as the defense suggested in trial 2, they didn't suggest this in the retrial. Somebody inside that house had a hand in it. And if they did, is that fertile ground for the DA to mine? Do they want to find out more? Or how about this? Has the Commonwealth had its fill of this? That's it for them too.
I know. And what's interesting about this case is, like you said, there is that civil trial that could come from this. So we're saying Karen Reed is free, but will she end up owing more money?
Well, and then you have to wonder if the defense worked criminally, why wouldn't it work civilly? The investigation was so tainted. Exactly. The lead investigator in the case has been fired and disgraced and wasn't called in the retrial. Yeah. How do you get over that? I think,
when it comes to finding justice, I think that's the biggest issue, is that we know the investigation was tainted. That was proven during the first retrial. So how do you go back and actually investigate? Did somebody kill John O'Keefe? And if so, who did it?
The bar is lower in a civil case. Lower than a criminal case. We saw that with OJ, right? OJ cleared criminally, found guilty civilly,
right?
In later times. So, listen, I've never covered a lot of cases in Rhode Island, a lot of big trials, all of them: the Station Nightclub, the Brundells, the Craig Price, Sabetta. Never saw any kind of a reaction like this, and I owe a lot of that. I think social media,
absolutely. Yeah, it started with Turtle Boy on it.
Yep.
The blogger, very popular blogger. He is really the reason why this case blew up. And then from then on, you just got all of these supporters who are really obsessed with the case. You have the true crime people nowadays who are just so invested in figuring things out on their own. We've seen it with documentaries. One specific documentary I'm thinking of on Netflix that led to the arrest of a serial killer. It was internet sleuths who figured it out.
Oh, I think you're thinking of are you thinking of the Menendez brothers? Because
I'm thinking of the Cats one.
Right, the Netflix documentary.
But yes, you're right. The Menendez brothers too.
The Menendez brothers, they make it out.
Yeah,
and we all know they actually killed their parents. Right? There's no.
It's crazy. That. But you have these internet sleuths that get so invested, and that's really taken trials to a different level nowadays.
It has it, and that explains a lot of this. This groundswell of support for Karen Reed, internet based. You're right, Turtle Boy. I saw Turtle Boy yesterday. He's almost like a celebrity himself.
I know.
Turtle Boy, yes. We interviewed him
as well.
We had him on TV. He was on her side.
Yeah.
Then you had other bloggers were against her.
Right.
And they all have a little platform. Then you have Facebook and Instagram and everything else. And how about this? Do we really think that those jury members never consumed any media?
There's no way.
No way.
There's no way. You'd have to lock your phone away the entire time.
Yeah.
Lock it. Don't give them a TV. Don't give them access to anything. Just lock them in a room.
Right. And did you delete your Twitter app? Have you not looked at an Instagram reel? Have you not looked at Facebook? Have you not watched television news? When you heard it on the radio, did you turn it off and turn away? It's impossible to believe this. So you have to wonder, how much did that jury know about the first trial? About the allegations in the first trial? And why weren't those people called in the second trial? And how much do they know about Proctor, whose name came up, but briefly, right? Was it Buchanan? The sergeant.
Yeah.
The guy who was also working the case. He became the main witness, but Proctor was the lead investigator. How much did the jury know about all of this, and how much did that play into their eventual decision. Look, at some point, maybe we're going to get an interview with them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But again, it's another reality of trials nowadays, just how everything with how the media works is just shaping the court system with social media. So,
Yep, that's no question. Yeah, you're right.
all right, Gene. Well, we'll check back in with you in just a minute. We're going to go to Jason Doris now. We know that the heat is definitely going up. I see all of that red behind you, Jason. We have a heat advisory in place, right?
Yeah, that is right, Tammy. And that is also one of the reasons why we have our Storm Team 10 weather alert for today. Our heat advisory will be kicking in starting at 11 o'clock, so another 39 minutes here. But it's for those heat index values or the feel like temperatures by later on this afternoon, anywhere between about 95 and 100 degrees because of the combination of the warm temperatures and also the high levels of humidity that we're going to have in place. Notice, though, it's concentrated across Providence County, northern Bristol County, not necessarily the South Coast or southern Bristol County. And that is because we're expecting some cooler temperatures down there, relatively speaking, this afternoon. We've seen that low-level cloud deck that's been blanketing us for most of this morning starting to break apart right now. The second it does, sun's going to be going to work, and we're expecting those temperatures to be jumping up. Still not that bad at the moment. We're holding in the 70s widespread across the region. Dew points, though, this is the big thing. Right now, Smithfield, dew point is 74 degrees. That is that tropical-like humidity, very similar at TF Green or the Providence, and New Bedford, 73 degrees. So that high-level humidity will be with us through the rest of the day. And once those temperatures get into the mid to upper 80s, that's when those heat index values will really start to increase. We're also going to start to increase that wind out of the southwest a little bit more, especially later on this afternoon, sustained anywhere between about 10 and 20 miles an hour. That'll make for a windy day at the beach if you're going to be trying to cool off, but that's really just going to pump all that heat for those interior locations. So the actual air temperature by the time we're getting into this afternoon should be low 90s for interior locations, cooler along the shoreline. But when you factor in that humidity, that's when you get this, the heat index values of 100 in Woonsocket, 99 in Taunton, 95 at Acushnet, and 97 in Providence. And that is when things start to get a little bit more dangerous, especially if you're exposed to this heat for a prolonged period of time, whether you're working outdoors or you don't have anywhere to kind of cool off. So if possible, the shoreline, I know it's a federal holiday today, so it'll be much cooler down there where we're only going to have the temperatures in the 70s by later on this afternoon. So if you're trying to cool off, that's going to be the place to go. We do have some relief on the way, Tammy, for tomorrow, which is the good news with the cold front that's going to be coming through tonight, not necessarily bringing too much rain to the region. That will give us a little bit of that break before we build the heat and humidity back into the region for the second part of this weekend and early next week, where we could be looking at temperatures in the upper 90s. So I'll have more on that coming up at noontime. I know, not looking forward to it.
It's the lights, Jason, but I'm getting hot just thinking about it. The temperature's behind you. I'm in air conditioning, but here we go. All right, Jason, thank you. We're going to bring back Gene Valicenti now because we have another story to talk about. Jaws. It is tomorrow. Marks the 50th anniversary since the release of the movie. Gene, you saw the original.
I did, and I remember the day I saw it. This was a phenomenon. This was maybe one of the biggest movies that people talked about. And I remember going to a theater in Jersey City, New Jersey, 50 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
it was
50 years ago.
50 years
How old
ago.
were you?
Well, I'm 65 now, so I was 15 years old, I guess,
Wow.
right? And but I remember going. I remember the people I went with, and we saw it, and everybody walked out with their mouths dropped, and it was New Jersey, so nobody wanted to go to the Jersey Shore. They thought they could be eaten by sharks.
Yeah.
So it had that cultural kind of an impact for years later. Now, of course, you see it, and the special effects are so primitive, and the shark looks fake, and you have to wonder, how did this thing ever scare anybody? It looks so ridiculous, right?
It's so funny when you think about it. I don't know how old I was when I watched it. I think I was a little bit younger because I know that watching it terrified me. I had nightmares for weeks. But it is funny when you think about it now, how good they've gotten, of course, with AI and everything. You look back and you're like, what? You were scared of that? I
mean, you could show a 3-year-old kid that, and what they've been exposed to, they would look at it, they would, well, what is this? You know, I mean, they throw how did they kill him in the end? They threw the fire extinguisher in the shark's mouth. It looks so fake.
Yeah, it really is.
And how about Universal? Did you ever go to the Universal Studios?
I did not.
Okay, Universal Studios had a Jaws exhibit, a ride. It was part of the movie ride. The tram comes down, and next thing you know, you're by the water. It's supposed to be Nantucket, where the thing it's supposed to be based, and the tram goes sideways, and the shark head comes out. It's even more fake looking. So So in 50 years, movies have come a long way. But in its day, that was well, The Exorcist. I said came before that. The Exorcist was frightening.
Oh yeah, I
That was
watched The
another.
Exorcist too.
That
Also
was
at
another.
the age that was too young.
That was another groundbreaking thing, and then Jaws after that. But even probably with The Exorcist, you go back and look at it now with a critical eye 50 years later. What is this frightening?
That's one that I would like to go back and look at now because nothing scares me more than that scene of her running backwards. You know what I mean? When she's like in a
I mean, the head turning, right?
The head turning too.
Well, what do you think that is? It's a puppet, you know, with the.
Now we'd probably watch it and laugh.
Did you see it too young?
I did. Yeah.
So that you felt your parents took you, or you went by yourself?
No, I think I watched it at home.
Oh, you watched it at home
years after it aired, but yeah.
Okay,
it was before parental access was available on TV, so I would just watch these movies.
Was it 72? Scott Allen, you're near a computer, our producer. What was Exorcist 1972? For some reason. Anyway,
I hear him typing away. He's gonna figure it out.
My brother's 3 years.
73.
73. Okay, so my brother was 10 when he went to see it. Clearly, too young to see it. He came back white as a sheet. He ran around the house on my grandmother, finding every votive candle, anything with a religious connect. He had it set up in our bedroom because he believed it.
Yeah,
I think till this day it scarred him.
I was gonna say he's never recovered from it.
He's never recovered. He'll go in the water, but The Exorcist did him in. Anyway, The Exorcist, then Jaws, and then I don't know if anything that impactful came along. Great.
This is later, but I also remember The Sixth Sense. I think that was in the 90s, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And then there was an Exorcist 2.
Yep.
And there was a Jaws. Am I correct? 3?
Definitely at least 2. Maybe there was 3.
No pun intended. Ellen? No pun intended, but it jumped the shark after 1.
I know.
2 was terrible.
One of those movies where they should have cut their losses.
Completely.
You know?
They
great
made money
movie.
on it. Like Godfather, the parts 1 and 2, magnificent from a filmmaking point of view. 3, total made for money loser. So anyway,
something that I think of with a lot of TV shows.
Wasn't it Jaws 3D? Wasn't the third one? Didn't they call it Jaws 3D?
Oh, maybe. Scott, did you go to Universal Studios? Do you know the attraction I'm talking about?
Yes.
The tram takes you down.
Yes, many years ago.
That's even worse than the movie. That was just so fake looking. Anyway, Emily, it's a pleasure to join you for Coffee Break. I think this is the first time I've been in your bagel shop. I've been to Allison's Bakery many times, but it's a pleasure. Do you do this on Wednesdays? Is this
you
your
just
day?
called me Emily?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tamara.
What are you, a member of the public? This happens all the time when I get outside of the station. I
was on with Emily for about an hour and a half yesterday. Tamara, it's a pleasure to be in your bakery today.
Yes.
For Coffee Break. Do you do this every Wednesday?
Brian and I switch off, so depending on which one of us is here, pretty much.
All right.
Take turns. But great chatting with you about Jaws and the Karen Reed retrial. And
you're right.
We'll see Gene tonight at 6:00, right?
All right. Thanks, Tamara.
All right. Thanks, Gene. And of course, we have all of your news and weather on our website, turnto10.com. We also have plenty of news that's available on our YouTube channel. You can find that by just searching NBC 10 WJR. And we'll see you back here on air at 12 o'clock for our newscast. I'll be back on air at 4 o'clock for a newscast. Gene Valicenti back at 6 p.m. for that newscast. And again, stay cool, especially with this heat advisory. And we'll see you later. Have a great day, everyone.